Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
Fargo families are learning more tonight about how the city's growth could affect their children. Valley News Team's education reporter Veronica Marshall is live at the Fargo Schools Administration Building with more on the latest enrollment projections. Veronica?
Andrea, even though enrollment projections are down, analysts say Fargo Public Schools still has overcrowding concerns in its future to deal with, and boundary changes aren't off the table. Now, there are 3 schools: Clara Barton Elementary School, Davies High School, and Discovery Middle School will either be at capacity or close to it over the next few years. The school district says the data isn't surprising because these schools were targeted by analysts last year as well. To address the problem, Fargo Public Schools says it will create a building capacity task force.
So what we'll do is we'll bring in a variety of stakeholders on that task force to have some of those critical conversations about what do we want to do, and that will help us develop a long-range facilities plan where we will explore all those options, and some of that might be boundary changes.
Now, that task force is expected to start at the end of February or early March this year. As for tonight's meeting, that starts at 5:30. So if you want to learn about all of this information for yourself, you still have time to come on down. As for now, though, I'm going to turn it back to you in the studio, Andrea.
All right. Thank you, Veronica. Tonight, school board members will also get an update on the LRE task force and also determine whether or not they should get a raise. Currently, board members earn $1,000 a month for their work on the school board. A Fargo man is facing up to 3 decades in prison for multiple crimes against a child. 36-year-old Dustin Cooley is convicted of conspiracy to transport a minor, transportation of a minor, and distribution and possession of materials containing child pornography in May of 2017. Cooley pleaded guilty to the charges in October. A judge ordered him to serve more than 3 decades in prison with a lifetime of supervised release. The community is coming together to help a beloved historic site in West Fargo recover after vandals released over 200,000 gallons of water onto the property, flooding it. It's believed vandals broke into Bonanzaville on December 31st and turned on outdoor water spigots on the South Pleasant Church. 4 historic buildings' foundations are threatened, and now Bonanzaville is facing a significant water bill. But a GoFundMe page that was created Monday evening has already raised around $3,000. If you would like to donate, we have a link to the page on our website, valleynewslive.com. The cold temps have returned, and they brought along their good friend, gusty wind. Hutch, what's the latest on this evening?
Yeah, when those two get together, it's not good outdoors. We do have clear skies as viewed here by our Skycam network, and I got to tell you, the temperatures are already dipping into the single digits along and north of Highway 2 mainly. But we're not far from the single digits here in Fargo with a temperature of only 11. The wind advisory does continue until 6 o'clock tonight. But even into the overnight, the gusty winds will continue to gust over 25 miles per hour. More clouds across Minnesota, a few flakes of snow still possible along the international border there. Current wind gusts, Valley City, 47 mile per hour gusts, 39 mile per hour gust in Grand Forks, and Fargo at 31, 44 mile per hour gusts in Sisseton. So the winds continue to be a factor. Where the snow is being able to be lofted, we have reduced visibilities, mainly in our northern counties north of Highway 2 and along Highway 2. Single-digit temperatures for most of the evening with gradually diminishing winds. But, Andrea, we're going to have some brutal wind chills as we go through the overnight hours. If you have to travel about, make sure you have that survival kit in the trunk of your car. Know how you can stay warm. Keep that cell phone fully charged and download the VNL weather app to stay up to date with the latest. We'll have your hour-by-hour forecast in a bit.
All right. Thanks, Hutch. A man with Moorhead connections is now in a Texas jail accused of sex crimes against children. The Twin Cities apprehension team says Luis Cardenas was arrested yesterday in the town of Eagle Pass after a 19-day investigation. Cardenas was the task force's #1 target, suspected of sexually abusing 3 children ages 6, 7, and 9. An investigator traveled to Moorhead to interview his parents, and they say his mother admitted driving her son to Mexico to avoid being arrested. Authorities have identified the man who was found dead in a vehicle in the Northern Valley. The man is 60-year-old Larry Haroldson. He does not have a permanent address. His body was found Monday in the 1200 block of 47th Street North in Grand Forks. Police say no foul play is suspected. A former North Dakota Sheriff's deputy is back in jail and has had his bond revoked. 32-year-old Kerry Komrosky was busted after failing his drug patch test again. The patch came back positive for amphetamine and meth. The former Burleigh County deputy pleaded guilty last fall to possession of a controlled substance and theft of property after being accused of stealing drugs from evidence while still working as a deputy. Authorities say Komrosky has failed the drug test 5 times since his initial arrest last year and has now been kicked out of the program for not complying. The 2019 Minnesota legislative session got underway just after noon at the state capitol in St. Paul today. Minnesota is the only state in the country with a divided legislature, so there are a lot of eyes on the Capitol this year. Democrats control the Minnesota House and the governor's office, and they are promising to erase the personal tensions and political gridlock of the last few years. There will be a new House Speaker, Melissa Hortman, who brings a different agenda to the House. Republican Senate leaders are promising to work with the Democratic governor, Tim Walz.
Child care, mental health, healthcare costs, and making tax conformity one of the things that we need to get done. Those are issues that we hope reflect this statement. We want people to know that the Senate Republicans are people who care with ideas that work.
Lawmakers say they are outlining a series of bills they will take up this year, all of them focusing on Minnesota families. And they plan to resurrect many of the same bills that were vetoed by Governor Mark Dayton after last year's contentious session. Minnesota's new governor is bringing his inauguration party to Moorhead next week. Tim Walz will be at Junkyard Brewery on Monday the 14th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. The event is free, but you need a ticket. You can head to valleynewslive.com and click on the hot button for the link to get tickets. The Fargo Park District is unveiling its newly renovated Oak Grove pedestrian bridge that crosses the Red River between Oak Grove Park in Fargo and Memorial Park in Moorhead. Fargo Park officials say improvements have been made to the bridge, and it's now a lift bridge, similar to the pedestrian bridge at Lindenwood Park. Previously, that bridge needed to be removed manually each year to prepare for the Red River rising in the spring. There is still some work left to do on the bridge, but park officials say it remains functional during this process. We have a traffic alert for you out of Grand Forks. Crews have run into some delays in the area of South Washington Street and 14th Avenue South. They're working on utilities there. They have reopened the northbound traffic on Washington, but just for this evening. They will close it again at 9 tomorrow morning. That utility work should be done by the end of the day, Wednesday. We experience it every winter, stubborn ice that seems to coat our driveways and our sidewalks. One way to get rid of the ice, and usually the most popular, is using salt. When it comes to the driveway or sidewalk, most salts will do the trick. However, before laying salt down on the patio, check with an expert at your local hardware store. Some salts may cause the paint on the patio to flake off. And if you have pets, make sure to get a salt that won't harm them.
Regular salt will hurt their paws as their skin goes in direct contact with the surface that we're de-icing. So pet-friendly salts don't have the same chemical in it and are easier on their skin.
When it comes to ice on our vehicles, make sure you're using a de-icer washer fluid that can help remove ice from your windows.